Hello there, Josh here from Racing to Profit. I thought I would briefly show my face, just to put a face to the voice, and yeah, I'm going to crack on. That's probably enough of my face already. I'm in my high-end recording studio, as always. The aim of this video, let me make myself disappear, having said hello. Hopefully you had a enjoyable day one at the Dante Day meeting at York. I'm looking at my blog. Obviously, I'm going to look at a couple of handicaps on day two and quick flick through some of the stats and trends, etc. Let's just have a quick review of day one on the blog. I'm just going to switch to this, the free daily members post, or the members post, which are free at the moment. My kind of focus on 3 mile plus or 2 miles 7 handicap chases, which are now about 80 points up since October. But I haven't been focusing on them just since then, but I am now, as I specialise in that area. And there was a 1-2. I think the reverse forecast, paid about 45-50 to 1. I'd have preferred Mr. Mafia to cling on with the staking, but he bumped into a resolute Sandy boy this time. He was a kind of saver. I thought he might run better. I was hoping Mr. Mafia would fight him off. He drifted to 10s as well, 9s. But anyway, a +1 point on that race isn't to be sniffed at. What else? Yeah, that was the kind of day one content for York. Some of my thoughts and shortlists that I wrote, and I kind of pondered a bit further actually after the first video, and decided at the Haggis horse I kind of wanted on side for kind of fun TV interest change at 9 to 2. Luigi Vamper didn't run very well at all. Out wide, maybe used up too much gas to get to a prominent position. The ground and the times did suggest it was good to soft. They may have some further showers before racing tomorrow, so it may be best to assume, especially as I don't think there's bright sunshine, that it is on the good to soft side, rather than kind of good to soft in places. Labib ran well out the back, stayed on into fifth. I mean, a well beaten fifth, but fifth at 22 to 1, so not bad there. You would think they will find something for him at some point through the season. The sprinters didn't run too well. Certainly Easterby's fell out the back of the TV. Maybe that was ground. That was a slight niggle. He wasn't exactly strong in the market. Was up there for a time, but beaten before a lack of class, I'd have thought. Woven ran well in fourth, a close fourth. Magical Spirit also fell out the back of the TV. I do wonder if he jarred himself up running on good to firm on his seasonal return, and or they're going to try and just get his mark down. Kevin Ryan's poor record in the race continued. Also like Nahar, who has bumped into a very good horse, second at 10 to 1, not beaten far, but I think the winner was Dossing. But those two, Starman and him, pulled well clear of the rest, and they both could be sprinters worth keeping an eye on. There was the write-up for the stats and trends, and various different comments, 26 or so built up through the day, and a few winners from you good folk flying around as well. What do I want to touch on? Let me whiz through. How did the stats and trends do on day one? Mainly the trends pointers I just wanted to highlight. Now, they didn't find the... they did find the winner of the 140. I've kind of added the kind of shorter list here of 4 horses, included the winner, the third, and the fifth, so they worked quite well. And the Class 2 handicap worked well to a point. Mr. Lupton was winning, rated 101 or so, so I chopped him out because of this rating here. So clearly a classy performance. I'm going to touch on him in a moment. With the future in mind. But the longer list had the fifth at about... Bielsa was never bigger than kind of 6s. Woven fourth. Magical Spirit back of the TV. Tim Easterby's back of the TV. Dan Sand second at 25 to 1. He looked like the winner at one point. And Zargan for... Scott Dixon, wasn't it? Third at 125 to 1. So that profile kind of worked. I did not have any place or each way money on Danzan or Zargun more for me. Hopefully there's someone out there who watched the first video and had a flick through some of these stats and trends that may well have landed on one of those. Each way, there was a winner for the trainers who have previously won the race and had runners in this year's renewal, so that's always a list worth looking at as well. I'm going to jump over to the excellent GG's Gold, which I use for plenty of these videos. There is a link below this video. I think Mr. Gigi's Matt Bisogno is doing a special offer on the Thursday day 2 of the Dundee meeting. So do click that link below if you want to have a dabble at some point in the next day or two. I'm actually going to record a video, I think, just looking and talking through some ideas of how you can use GG's Gold if you want. And don't forget, there's also you can become a free registered user, and you can get access every day to some free chunks of some of these superb tools. So there's a link below that, below the video for that also. As well as the big red subscribe button if you want to subscribe to the channel and be alerted when future fantastic videos such as this find themselves posted by myself, and you can waste no time in pressing play, putting the kettle on, or maybe something stronger. Let me just look back at the 210, which is always worth reviewing results, sometimes to look at what you did wrong, of course, but more so I just want to touch on this horse's form. It's these two runs down here at Curragh and Ayr in the Gold Cup, mainly because of what one of these other horses went to do on at Ascot on day 1. So Mr. Lupton winning a Class 2 York handicap of 101 or whatever he was takes some doing. The Ayr Gold Cup may well be a race for you to just keep an eye on. Obviously Nahar of William Haggis came second in a Group 2 as I record this on the Wednesday afternoon, beaten by Starman, front 2 miles clear. Spanish City hasn't run since November. He is 7. I don't know if he's still in training or been sold abroad, so I'm not sure on that. But he's only run once since, so he might be a horse worth keeping an eye on, because he has always shaped like he's got an okay handicap in him. Mr. Lupton's 3rd here in the Ayr Gold Cup and has won today, obviously on the Wednesday, that competitive enough handicap. So obviously that gives strength to this form. You can obviously pause this and look at those horses that have only run once, some of those that have won since. Maybe Wise Counsel has another win in him on this evidence, Lahore at some point this season. Kinran's the kind of one I want to touch on. He doesn't win very often, but he is running in one of the handicaps on day 2 I'm going to touch on, and he hits or sits in a kind of or ticks a few boxes, I should say, on my kind of trends and stats profile. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. But that's just an idea of, some of these handicaps and Class 2s, 20+ runners are stronger than others, and this is clearly an example of a strong handicap given what some of these have now done. And Mr. Lupton certainly enjoyed what was possibly a calmer and lesser Class 2 today. So that's that. That's all I want to say on that. Or is it? No, one thing I do want to highlight is just the Instant Expert, which I will have clicked, and some of you may have used as a better job than I have. This is at that York race. If I just click on flat, Mr. Lupton's there. This is winning form in good to soft. You can see the green and amber solid across the bar there. This was his 2nd win. This has already been updated today at York. He'd already won once over the 5 furlong and the 6. This is now his 3rd course win. You can click within the Instant Expert and have a look at some of these, where this form was achieved. Big field form in a race, I think I said at the time, where a few were above their last winning handicap mark. So maybe was a question more of who would be classy, who would put in the classy performance. So that's something to note for future videos, obviously, is these kind of line of green here as kind of each way options, especially for an each way price. But let's move on. 10 minutes ticking round. I will keep this under 30. To day 2 as I skip and jump. And where am I going to head now? To the blog, and the day 2 stats have been up since mid-afternoon for those of you who like to get cracking early on. And we are looking at there's some stats and trends here. You can see the kind of short list. You can have a look and make a judgment on which stats you may like or might think they're rubbish and don't like any of them. There's a kind of longer list, shorter list, everything else there, as you can see. I've added the kind of GGs and horse race based top 3 rated if they sit in that place. So, this longer list here is the winner on this list. Copper Knight, Autumn Flight, Count d'Orsay, Venturous, Kind Review, Indian Sounds. Are they there somewhere, or is there a decent priced each way horse on that list, which is the other way to look at it? Those with experience over the course and distance do well here. Copper Knight, Count d'Orsay, Musica, Illusionist, Venturous, Queen's Order of interest. You've got here the trainers that have won the race before and have runners, and we skip down to the 240, which is the other class 2 handicap on the race. In the race, top 5 in the weights have done well, and those kind of carrying 9 stone to 9 stone 5, which may well create an automatic couple of shortlists. Whether or not they uphold, they're only 10 from 12 stats, so they may not uphold, of course. But given the number of runners against the historical sample, it helps bring some focus, and it may be an idea to try and find a horse or two you want on side within that weight range. You can see here the top 5 in the weights. It's obviously there's a short list of 5 here. There's none with joint weights, I don't think. Kinran's there, as you can see, going back to what I just said before. Brunch, Matthew Flinders, I'll touch on them in a moment. Those carrying 9 stone to 9 stone 5. Matthew Flinders, Brunch, Kinran. Is this race about those 3 horses? Quite possibly, and you may want to take a closer look. So, jumping back over to the excellent GG's Gold, I am on the 140, which is a 5 furlong sprint. So let me try and say some things of interest for you without leaning your opinion one way or the other. I mean, there's no kind of trainers in red hot form, with those green symbols I've talked about jumping out, those green C1 and C5s for course record over the last year and the last 5 years, always worth clicking on and looking at there. The speed ratings for GG's Gold here, which are Dr. Pete the Maples together, they do particularly well over sprint distances. So these in the kind of 100 may be worth noting, and Count d'Orsay is the top. Then we've got, let's look at the Instant Expert, and as always you can pause this video if you want. I'm going to assume it's good to soft. If there's some rain, will it go softer? I can change the going there, so if it's good to soft through to soft, there could be some further showers. I'm not quite sure it's going to be better than good to soft, and it's going to dry out dramatically, but I could be wrong on that front. Now obviously you can pause this Instant Expert. This is winning form in flat turf handicaps on good to soft, class 2, 5 furlongs, 16 runners or more. And as always, green and amber is of some interest. We can see Count d'Orsay ticks a few boxes there. Again, we've got handicap marks here. He's £8 above his last winning handicap mark. He's age 5. Is he still improving? This race may tell us some more there. Rayong's back on his last winning handicap mark. A few here with the kind of shaded out would suggest they haven't won flat turf handicaps, I think. That obviously means they're possibly open to improvement, possibly well handicapped, or they don't like winning or whatever. So yeah, you wouldn't say looking at this there's many kind of really well handicapped horses. Copper Knight, he is £21 below his last winning mark. I'm not sure if that was in a handicap or not, but he's well handicapped but not getting any younger. That's the winning form. Now if I put place up here, like with that Mr. Lupton, which I just highlighted and I didn't back him, one of my regular readers on the blog did tip him in the comments, so well done to that man. Count d'Orsay, you can see there, he is around 6-7 to 1 at the top of the market, I think, but he's well positioned on the trends, on my trend pointers. Easterby's won the race before. The horse has placed over the course and distance, as we can see there. There is a question of whether or not he bumps into something better handicapped. You may think the idea of 6 to 1 in a race like this is a disgusting price, but you can see his suitability to conditions there. That is the point. He is proven in those conditions that you can see in front of you. Some of them with place form at the course. Venturous, interesting. He's come at 2.5 length, class 3, off a bit off a lower rating, of course, but course form here never a bad thing. What else? Musica. what else we got here? Copper Knight ticks a few boxes as well. So you can pause that. Illusionist placed a couple of times at the track. I think he's being nibbled at as I speak. So you can look at that dashboard in front of you and ponder the other piece of the jigsaw, of course, without looking at the horses and trainer form and horse form and whether or not you think they're well handicapped, do they have any hot form, etc., etc., is the Pacemap, which is always useful. And we can see here there is some pace down here. Kind Review has made all twice at Newcastle. He does have some turf form and with a bit of cutting, I think. I'll touch on him in a moment. Midwinster can go forward. Count D'Orsay, so there's two pace angles here, so two pace horses, maybe three if Easterby wants Sunday Sovereign to bomb forward and help set it up for Count D'Orsay first run of the season. Not impossible. So there could be a bit of pace down high, and yeah, he may be interesting. You can see in these this is only a sample of two, which is influencing the red and the green, so maybe don't take this too seriously. That's good to soft ground, handicap 16 runners or further, 5 furlongs at York. So in those exact specific examples, not a great sample size, I suppose, from recent history, but being held up kind of lower isn't a bad thing. Now, Musica will go forwards. Will they all merge in one group up the middle? I'm not sure. Indian Sounds compress the pace. Venturous can be ridden up. It has been a positive to be back here from a small sample, of course, but Venturous and Illusionist, interesting. Woven came from further back and nearly won. So did Danzan to a point. Mr. Lupton was held up and outpaced and stormed home. So Day one suggests you can be ridden patiently on the straight track in these sprints and come through. Obviously, it then all depends about pace setup, where the pace is on the track, whether they stop in front, luck in running, and everything else. But again, you can look at that pace map and ponder. I am going to... I've had a quick flick through, but only that. I have spent probably more time on a superb Class 4 3-mile chase from Perth on Thursday, which I'll be hoping to get stuck into, odds and value allowing to my subjective eyes, but I digress. What did I want to say? I think Count D'Orsay has to be on any shortlist for all the numerous reasons stated. When trying to work out if he's well handicapped, you can obviously look at his form and how some of these races have worked out. Most of them have produced winners. You can look at Racing Post ratings. Are there any above his mark? Which is always some kind of guide. And he did post 107 there, off a mark of 99, 104 at Chester. 5 winners have come from this race that ran at Chester last time out at the May meeting, which does make Count D'Orsay interesting, I think. It also makes Venturous, he is 8, maybe more from this sort of mark, although he's one off higher on the all-weather and in handicaps. Well, a handicap there of 103, so he's £6 below that, and that was an RPR 110. He has run well at the track before. He blew the start, reared the stalls, which he's done the last twice. And he wasn't beaten far there. So I suppose at the odds, if you say you like Count D'Orsay, you've got to give Venturous. Maybe he is the interesting each way horse in this, and he will come from further back. But he might be interesting, might be worth a closer look. So Count D'Orsay and him are maybe the two my eyes on a flick through were drawn to, and the other one, possibly Kind Review. Sorry, this is ordered in those speed ratings order, isn't it? That was confusing me for a moment. So yeah, Count D'Orsay and Venturous at the top there. They are open to attack from a lightly weighted, something that maybe has more in hand. Kind Review comes from Newcastle, hard fit, in form, hasn't run a bad race the last 4 goes. I think that was possibly a career best Racing Post rating, although the race hasn't worked out too well, although a few of these have. Plenty of subsequent winners. He is stepping up 2 classes into a Class 4. Is he going to be good enough? That's the question. But he is the pace angle drawn high, which may be no bad place to be, but more patiently ridden horses on the kind of straight track did well on day one. But he might be a bigger price. So if Count D'Orsay, so maybe in kind of list of preference, on my quick subjective look through, but do have a look yourself, obviously, at all these things I've said and pause and take a closer look at the race. Maybe Count D'Orsay, then Venturous and Kind Review. The latter two may be a double figure price, which may be more appetising. Obviously, I flagged Copper Knight on the Instant Expert panel. There may be something else of interest within the race, of course. But yes, I think those are the ones that were of interest. I'll maybe have a little more pondering. I'll put some notes and write up in the free daily members post on Thursday, which I'm about to compile after I finish recording this video. That's where any tips and 3-mile chases and stuff will live as well. I'm going to jump over to the other handicap, the other class 2 handicap on the card, and this is all I will focus on for this video, just in the final kind of 5 and 10 minutes. I should do the same thing again, that process I just did with the last one, shouldn't I? There's the speed ratings, how good they are over 8 furlongs, but it's just more information. These horses have done something on the way. Dr. Peter Mayer, I think, still writes articles and at the races, or articles somewhere. He has his own method, and this would indicate these horses have done something decent time-wise on how he pulls things together. So those 4 may be interesting. Of course, 3 of those 4 have a good, are well placed on the stats or trends. Not a great trends race, and not an overcomplicated set of trends. It was 2 kind of angles. The top 5 in the weights. And the kind of bigger weights have struggled, and those carrying 9 stone to 9 stone 5. So is the winner in this little bunch somewhere here? Let me click on Instant Expert. Again, you're free to pause. Let me just look at the win, handicaps, flat turf, and you can see there's some green there. Johan, interesting, £8 above his last winning mark. Brunch, he's 2 from 2 at the course. He's near the top of the market. He's about 6 to 1. Matthew Flinders is a similar price. I think because of his course form, they're both going to be patiently ridden. I think because of his course form, I would have preference of him, of the 2 near the top of the market, over Matthew Flinders. But Flinders does have experience here, and that was over 10 furlongs, and he may not have quite stayed in soft. He did run well to a point, but maybe of more interest, but I'll touch on those in a minute. Uzo is interesting. He doesn't mind if this goes softer if a shower comes, and actually might be preferable. He is in that right weight band, so you can see his suitability to conditions in here. Ticking the ground, the class, the course, the distance, field size. Ryan Moore is riding better than he's ever ridden, I think, and Richard Hannon's booked him. So he may be interesting, as you can see there. Hartswood, who else? Kinran. If I just click on the place stats, you can see here again, Brunch 3 from 3 in class 2, 2 from 2 at the track. Kinran has only been out of the places at the course once. Now, he does find winning sometimes difficult. He is a classic each way horse, I think. He is £3 above his highest winning marks, though, so he's weighted, and on that all-weather form, he's weighted to he's £3 with those. I'm thinking another horse then. But yeah, so he could have a big race in him. And going back to when I was reflecting on Mr. Lupton at the start, he did run in a hot race in the Air Gold Cup, which is working out well, and arguably this isn't anywhere near as strong as that, so he might be interesting at what I think is currently 12 and 14s. Not a horse I'd necessarily want to back on the nose, I don't think, but of possible interest each way. Uzo is interesting, but again, you can see down here, Hartswood, his form ties in with Brunch. Is he better weighted, better treated? So that's something of interest. I mean, there's lots of green and amber on this. Is this a race that's too competitive and we should just leave it and stand aside and watch it? Maybe, but if you're sat in front of the TV watching ITV4 or whatever channel it's on terrestrial TV, like me, you might want to have some beer money or change down the side of the sofa on something just for interest, or you may take an even stronger view, and if that's the case, post what you fancy below the video on the blog. We always celebrate winners on the blog in the comments and ignore the losers, so nothing to fear there. But obviously, yes, you can pause this Instant Expert, do what you want. There's handicap marks, as you know, down the right hand side. Pace, that's what I haven't looked at. So let's just have a look at this. It's not on the straight track, obviously. Go around a bend. Artistic Rifles can be up there. Johan can be up there. Shalir Kinran might be in the perfect spot. If he can get out and across, there's a bit of pace, but he can just sit and track. So can Hartswood. Brunch and Matthew Flinders can be further back. Do you want to be backing hold-up horses at 5-6 to 1 in handicap races like this? That's a question. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer to that. But yes, so that's of interest. Sorry, what else should I just click on there? I should sort it by draw. Obviously, one will be against the inside rail. So some of these will want to kind of get out and get across and get an okay position. Will Matthew Flinders be inconvenienced by this wide draw? He's usually held up. Does that mean he'll find himself too far back and given too much to do? Brunch is drawn a bit better than him. So, you know, you can look at that pace map and use it as you please and pause the video and do whatever you want with it, make notes. So yeah, there's this video. Obviously, then the race card here, we can see what trains are in form. Haggis's are flying along. Charlie Fellows are going okay. Bethels are going okay. And you know, there's a few stats just worth, not necessarily for this horse, but maybe so. Since he took over from his dad, was it? He's made a bright start to his training career. So Bethel's horses in general at the moment are worth keeping an eye on. That's an aside. So yes, obviously you can take away anything I've said there. I think Brunch is interesting. There's probably is there a question over the Dodds form? He's had a few run well without winning, 3 from 49 in the last 30 days now, 0-26, 47% rivals beaten, so they're generally finishing in the latter half of the field rather than further forward. So maybe that's a niggle at his price, although Woven did go pretty well, and this horse ran well when last seen 47 days ago. Is that a bit of an odd break for a flat horse? Was he entered somewhere else, this a hold up, or has this been the plan? This race was clearly pretty decent. I suspect he'll strip fitter for this, but of course he is open to attack from something better treated. You can see here that's where that Hartswood form ties in, and Hartswood hasn't gone up in the weights as much. So does that weight difference mean he's going to overturn that form with Brunch? Possibly. You know, he might be one of interest. He had a pipe opener at Thirsk. He will appreciate a bit of cut in the ground, I think. He's run some great races here as well. So, you know, if I say I like Brunch, you're kind of on their collateral form, got to like Hartswood as well. So they might be worth a look. Kinran is interesting from an each-way perspective, I think. He arrives in form, was held up last around Chester, which is never ideal, and posted an RPR 104 there. He's run some big races in decent handicaps. Again, he's open to attack from younger legs, something with a bit more in hand. Maybe a good each-way horse. Hasn't won since October 19. Can find it hard to get his head in front every now and then. That was his first win since September 17 then, but he has run lots of solid races, decent placed efforts. Like I said, that you know, some of those kind of Ascot efforts and that Air Gold Cup run down here, although he has run a few times since. That was off 105 though, and his marks dropped a bit. So maybe he's interesting for you to have a closer look at each way. I touched on Uzo. I mean, you're getting the point here. It's competitive stuff, isn't it? You can make a case. It looks kind of 5 or 6 chance here. Maybe he wants the ground to be softer, but again, he's had a pipe opener. This may well have been the plan. He's drawn wider though and likes to race prominently. Will he use up too much gas to get further forward? I've mentioned Hartswood. Maybe I haven't even mentioned the winner. Artistic Rifles comes here on the back of a couple of wins. So this really probably isn't a race to go overly mad on, because it does look competitive stuff. But at kind of, you know, Kinran may be an each way price. Brunch is interesting. Matthew Flinders, but they're around 6s. Those three hit the kind of 9 stone to 9 stone 5 pointers, I suppose. Uzo's run well, Hartswood, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've kind of mentioned 4 or 5 there. Maybe that would be my long list. Well, no, maybe I should get off the film. Brunch, Kinran, Hartswood and Uzo are the interesting 4, I think. And then it's just working out which ones to play and how for me personally, maybe, or maybe not at all, because it's all a bit too hard. But hopefully I've said something of interest there. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You may have some notes. You may have some questions. Post them below the video. Like I said near the start, there's the big red subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. So do click that so that you can be notified of any future videos that drop in to my YouTube channel. Any questions are always welcome, whether below this video on YouTube or on the blog. Any selections or thoughts or fancies, or if you disagree with me, if you think I'm mad and talking absolute nonsense, polite criticism is always welcome and encouraged, and constructive criticism in these parts. And of course, if you like the look of Gigi's Gold, there will be a link below this video for a special offer, which I think is open on Thursday. And of course, it's not all about spending money and signing up to things. As a free registered user, which the link's below this video as well, you can also access some great content, free content every day, whether it's various different tools. I think there's kind of 4 or 5 races of the day where you get access to these race cards and various other bits and pieces. So that's always worth doing if you like finding your own winners, and who doesn't? So yeah, with that said, thanks for watching. This is Josh saying, has my face reappeared? Possibly. This is Josh saying thanks for watching, and until the next time, yeah, do check out the various links below and head to the blog and say hello. But yeah, until the next time, this is Josh saying best of luck with any bets as always, and bye for now.